Welcome back to Holding It Together, Kinda. I'm Michael Macniak. Today is May 7th, National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Usually on days like this, you see a panel of experts in suits talking about comprehensive care and early intervention. But if we're being brutally honest, the real experts are the ones living it. We talk a lot on the show about the social mirror, the pressures to look perfect while you're privately shaking the safety gate. For our kids, that mirror isn't just in their heads, it's in their pockets 24/7. Today, we're clearing out their head trash in the clinical jargon. I brought together 5 young people across a 10-year span from age 13 to 23 to talk about what it actually takes to grow up in a world that never stops watching. We're going to find out what holding it together really looks like in 2026. Okay, welcome you guys. I'm happy that you're here. Today is, whether I told you or not, it's Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. And I thought that we'd get together with some of my favorite people in the world. And they will all tell you about themselves as we go through this little interview today on our Holding It Together Kinda podcast. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions of these guys. They range in age from 13 to 23. And just so you know, they happen to all be my kids. I guess with the exception of Faith. Faith, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
I'm good. Faith isn't my kid, but I feel like I want to treat her like my kid. So you count, all right, Faith?
That's fine for now.
So guys, I'm going to just ask you a bunch of questions about mental health awareness and what you guys are seeing in your schools or you're not seeing in your schools and with your friends, and Jake at your new job and at work. And Ellie, I'm going to start with you, kiddo, okay?
Okay.
You good? All right, so tell everybody about who your name is.
My name is Ellie.
Your name is Ellie. What grade are you in?
I'm in 7th grade.
All right, what are you doing these days that got you really excited and fired up, kiddo?
Getting home and going to sleep.
All right. Yeah,
It's really
sounds
fun.
right. So, Ellie, we're here talking about mental health awareness because that's what we do on this podcast. You are 13 years old. You're at the very beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
You feel in any way like you are in a stage where you need to be performing for your friends, or you feel like you can't be just your authentic yourself in school or around your friends and stuff?
I don't feel like I have to perform for my friends because I already kind of know them and they know me, so I feel kind of comfortable talking to them and stuff.
Well, that's important, right?
Yeah.
And now at age 13, you've kind of figured out good friends, bad friends, and how to navigate that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds positive. Going in the right direction. Hey, Jake,
Yeah,
how old are you?
I am 23, living out in New Mexico currently. Young Air Force officer. I've got the privilege of leading around 70 people currently, all the way from the ages of 18 to say 40 to keep the older guys in check.
It's not bad for a kid in 7th grade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. With the mustache back again, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of part of the culture, part of the culture.
Yeah. Hey, so Jake, looking back at the 13-year-old you and looking at your sister, what's some one bit of head trash that you know of or that you carried along with you that you maybe believed back then that you finally gotten rid of and cleared your head of now as a 23-year-old young adult, in the military and serving your country?
Yeah, for sure. I know what she means in terms of, you've kind of got a good friend group already. However, I do think that looking back, knowing and thinking that not everyone is paying as close attention to me as I think they are, way more than I thought they were. You're young, you think all eyes are on you all the time. But now even being 23 and even through high school and college, 23, first big boy adult job, right? No one cares. because in life it's in life it's you, and that's really all you got. It's you've got yourself and a few people around you, and yeah,
Yeah,
you
I have a
gotta
friend.
be okay with that.
Do you remember Bobby Sacco?
I remember the
Bobby
name.
Bobby always used to say, if you could count on one hand the number of good friends you have, consider yourself a very, very lucky person.
Yeah,
I always
I
thought that was sage wisdom.
I completely agree.
So when you're saying that all eyes are not on you and people aren't paying attention to you the way you thought, you mean that in a good way, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Like you might do something, silly or stupid, at a school day or whatever. People forget by the end of the week. And
Right.
you got to be all right with knowing that, wake up and do it again tomorrow.
The same silly stuff.
Yep.
Fiona, that reminds me of the time that the chair fell down. Remember when your jacket got caught on it at dinner?
No.
You don't remember that?
When was that?
We were having Easter or Mother's Day brunch, and
Oh
your
my God,
coat.
I wanted to die. That was so embarrassing.
Yeah, and you thought the world was going to end because the chair fell over. But so Fiona, how much of your mental bandwidth, how much time do you spend trying to look okay for people, do right by people, maybe even people that you don't like? Are you getting caught up in all that gamesmanship still?
Not with people I don't like. I don't really care what they think of me because I
Well,
don't
that's
like them.
well.
So
Are you an outlier in that regard? Like, is that pretty much normal in your age bracket, or are you kind of like abnormal in that way? And I want to call you abnormal, but you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't know because like a lot of girls in my class are always talking like, "Oh my God, I hate her. I don't care what she thinks about me," but then they act like they're friends. So I might be an outlier.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
might. Yeah.
I tend to think so. I tend to think so. Hey, Maya, question
Hi,
for you. Hi. Oh, wait a second. I forgot to ask Fiona. Fiona, how old are you?
17,
About to be
18. Oh,
about to be 18. And you are about to have a big day coming up, which is
my birthday?
you're graduating from high school.
Oh,
So congratulations to you. Maya, how old are you, Maya?
I'm 15 years old,
What grade?
ninth.
And what gets you fired up? What are you excited about these days?
I don't know. I'm glad that summer's coming up, and I'm I get to play volleyball every now and then, so that's fun.
Yeah. Maya's become a volleyball star in the last couple of years, and she works hard at it, and she's getting really good. Got it. I hate to admit it, but she is. Hey, Maya, when you're struggling, what matters more to you? That high-tech app that your school suggests for you to use, or just personal connection with someone that actually hears you and cares about you and that you could talk to?
I think personal connection is far more important and meaningful than an app that is suggested by the school because you get to know the other person and you get to know the ins and outs of them and what makes them happy and what they don't like and all the stuff that you want them to learn about you as well.
Right. And you push each other's buttons the right way, the wrong way, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ellie, I got another question for you. Then I got a question for Faith. When your friends need help,
Mm-hmm.
does it feel, or when you need help, or when your friends need help when you're at school, does it feel like it's a big maze or a path for you guys to get help?
I start to think about that a lot actually because to get help it's not that hard, but sometimes we do get a little scared to go up to people and ask for help because we think that we can handle it on our own, but then when we try to handle it on our own it doesn't really work out.
That's actually a really good answer because it's really important for everybody to remember that It's human nature to want to help people. And most of us are just hanging out here waiting to be asked, right? So if you remember that, it should give you the courage and the strength to ask for the help if you think you need it. Because people are more than likely. Who was that? Someone just dropped something. Anyway, so people are more certainly inclined to help others for sure. So you shouldn't be afraid to ask because people want to be there to help you. They just need to know that you need the help. Do you feel like the adults in charge are looking at the real you when they see you, or just like a quick checklist and going down, whatever, just another kid, or how do you feel about all that?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I feel like sometimes they see the real me, sometimes they see like other kids, because some kids are really mean and stuff, but they act like they're really good to teachers, but they're actually not.
Oh, we have one of those in our family. She's a young adult now, so she's not like that anymore. But boy, she was tough. You know exactly who I'm talking about. So do you, Jake. And everybody else, this is Faith. As I said, Faith is a prankster. I call her a prankster, an Emmy winner, and a wise guy all at the same time. And I'm sorry that I have to hold on to Mackie, you guys, but there's a horrible thunderstorm here and he is just having a real bad time of it. So Faith, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing all right. Been raining for hours here. Faith, how old are you?
I am 19 and I go to college, but right now I'm currently taking a year off.
You took a year off from school?
College,
Yeah.
yes.
From college, right. So you took a year off between high school and college?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So let me ask you this, Faith. When you're dealing with specialized needs, it can sometimes feel like you're alone. You're out on an island all by yourself. How do you who's your kind of crew? Who's the people that the friends or the people around you that you want to go to and they get you and they don't make you feel like you have to explain yourself every 5 minutes and repeat your angst for whatever that day may be?
Honestly, it's not easy to find my kind of people because how people act in these days. And personally, let's just say I've had a lot of people burn before. But the few people I have, those I can trust, I know are always on my side, special news or not.
They're always on your side through good things and bad things, no matter what. And like Jake
So,
like Jake and I were saying, it may not be that many. It's only a handful of people or whatever, but the few quality people mean much more than having a whole bunch of people, right?
absolutely. If I forget, thank you for your service, Clint.
Oh, no, thank you for what you do. So you guys know Faith is quite the activist herself. And are you going to have your podcast going all summer?
Definitely. Most
Yeah.
likely.
Faith does a podcast on her own where she's got all kinds of cool guests and things like that. And just when her mom was kidding around with Jake before, but yeah, I mean, Faith knows a lot of people in a lot of places, and I'm not exaggerating when I said she's the subject of an Emmy award-winning segment, right, Faith?
Unfortunately, I'm not much of a spotlight person, so to speak.
That's not you. I think it's all about you. And so you should be really proud of that. Anyway, Jake,
Yeah.
looking back at the last 10 years, I mean, when you were Ellie's age, 13, where did you feel that the safety net was the thinnest? Where did you feel safest, or where did you feel not so safe?
Yeah, for 13-year-old me and my peers, definitely probably the start of social media for good and bad. You had an easier way to talk to your friends when you weren't at school. But on the other hand, you also had a really easy way to compare yourselves to others being so young. And it was a kind of a transition, right? Because, didn't really have a lot of social media, like didn't exist when I was younger
Oh, it
for the
existed. I didn't get to use it.
not like it does today though. You know what I mean? Like you have
No.
Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all like TikTok, all these platforms that like even if young kids are using them, there's so many more avenues to compare yourself to others, but also talk to your friends on the other hand too.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, I think it's a double-edged sword for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of social media. I know it's a necessary evil in our lives, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But it certainly has changed a lot in 10 years. I mean, and the accessibility, I mean, it's in your hand all the time. I mean, not for nothing, we're all talking via social media, a platform right now, right? Trying to get
Right.
word out to help other people. So let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk about stigma and the system. And Maya, back to you. You still awake?
I am.
We talk about early intervention, right? And trying to get out in front of things. So if kids have problems, we want to get out in front of it so that we can help them help themselves earlier. And that's a clinical goal that a lot of people have. But to you guys, you collectively here on the screen, but also Maya, you and your friends, what does support actually look like? Like, where do you go? Is it a therapist office? Is it having somebody like to talk to, like your sister? I don't even know if you guys are speaking right now. I'm kidding, Fiona. So what does that look
Um,
like? What does support look like to you?
Probably someone who like actually listens and who I speak to frequently, like a friend or Fiona, for example. It just like it if you like have someone who actually listens to you, it just builds deeper connection and like it like allows you to like share more than like if you like were meeting with like a stranger or something.
Right. No, I agree with you there. So yeah, it makes more sense to if you have somebody that you could trust and you feel comfortable with, they know you, you know them. I mean, it makes perfect sense that you'd want to go to them more than, say, a therapist. I understand that, but there is value in therapy. I mean, I would never say there's not. Do you agree with me?
No, of course there's value with therapy, but if you're new to something like it would like help if you have a friend with you, or not with you, but like as a support.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I always say, therapy's great because you could complain, carry on all you want for an hour, and they got to sit there and listen to you, and you're paying them. So why not do it? Do you like when your friends, when you're talking to your friend, do you like when they give you feedback or you just want them to listen?
The feedback is very helpful because it lets you like realize what is like happening, but the
Yeah.
listening ear is also good plus.
Yeah, the active listening, right? I hear you. I agree. And I would say that I've seen firsthand that you guys do have a pretty good rapport and good relationship with your mom in that regard. So we got to give a little credit where credit's due, right?
Yeah.
You could admit it, Fiona. You could admit it.
What?
Never mind. Hey, Faith, I got a question for you. So I've been calling myself a sentimental radical because I believe that the human pulse is much more important than any kind of clinical checklist. In your experience, Faith, with the doctors and the therapists, and how often do you feel like they're really seeing you as a person versus seeing a diagnosis on a screen or in a chart or whatever?
Honestly, I don't really often because growing up with how many medical I have, not many doctors were exactly the best. Or I would not say that good way. Only at least two of them were good enough, and that's why my mom's my advocate.
So you don't think they heard you well enough and knew you well enough?
No,
And so Well, I mean, here again, you got a very strong mom who's a very strong advocate and you guys are like best buddies. I see your interactions with each other, and I love how you pick on your dad all the time and play jokes on him. That's the best. So,
So,
so, I mean, you've been through a lot of doctors, right?
oh yeah, 54 operations to be exact.
54 operations, and you're 19 years old.
Turning 20 in a few months, but yes.
Jeez. So 54 operations in 20 years. That's over 2 operations per year. That
Oh, no, a couple years ago, more than that. Had around 20,
you had a year where you had 20 operations?
yeah, to save my life.
Really?
In a 5-week period.
20 operations in a 5-week period.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, no wonder it's frustrating in the medical care that you're getting, right? So it's important. It's important that, you know, my friend Rebecca Iantoni said that one thing that she likes to do for her son G, who, among other things, he's autistic and he has physical needs, but she likes to bring a video of her son into the doctor's appointments so that they can see the real G, like what he's like on a day-to-day basis and how funny he could be and how he actually likes to sing. He actually likes to sing dirty songs and freak his mom out and stuff like that. So I thought that that was a really cool lesson that she told me about. Fiona, where do you see
Well,
the
oh, sorry.
where do you see the most at-need kids in your school or out in the community and stuff? And where are they kind of falling through the cracks in the system?
I'm sorry, you glitched out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I asked you, where do you see kids that are really in need in your school or in the community? Where are they falling through the cracks? Where are they not getting the help that they need?
I don't really like see them around the school very often unless they're going to get lunch or breakfast.
Talking about
Okay.
kids that are like special needs or in
Yeah, yeah, they're really confined to only one area in the school, and they're like not like really like allowed out, which is kind of sad to me because like I feel like they need to get like so like I don't want to sound like rude because I'm kind of scared of sounding rude, but like because the only people they really interact with are just like the same like 10 kids or 15 kids.
yeah. Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
they're not big on the social integration thing in your school?
No, and I understand it's for good cause because kids can be disgustingly mean, but there are some good kids out there that like genuinely like want to talk to them and be their friend. Like some kids in my grade, they help them and they're really really nice. So I wish that they like were allowed to like actually interact with more people because that could help them.
No question
But
about it. I will say that there
yeah.
was one time. There was one time I was substitute teaching in my father's school. He was still a principal, and there was one kid that had specialized needs, cognitive, mental health issues, and this kid took up so much of my attention that I couldn't pay. And this was in gym class, so it wasn't even like in a regular classroom. This was in a gym class I was subbing it, and that kid took so much attention that I couldn't pay attention and let the kids go off and do the exercise or whatever we were doing in the gym. So that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But to hear that the school, at least your school, is sort of getting away from that inclusion is really, frankly, kind of troublesome to me.
I agree.
How do you feel about you and your friends and I don't know, all those other kids? How do you feel about the way that the school is really preparing you guys for young adulthood and what's coming next? I mean, you're going to college in the fall and it's big times coming for you, man. You got a lot of changes coming quick.
Yeah, like they definitely teach you like good, like I'm trying to word this, but educational things, but not really life skills. The only life skills class that we really have is just financial lit or like business stuff that can like help you manage money, but they don't really teach you how to actually like sustain for yourself. It's just all, oh, it's either like, oh, this lesson, like math and English, and then you have your sciences, but it's never teaching you like, oh, how to, like, I don't know, like fend for yourself, maybe. Also, I know like your parents can teach you that, but it's very important for schools to teach you that as well. Because what if kids at home don't have that opportunity for their parents to teach them, and
That's
schools are
actually,
providing that?
I didn't even think of that. That's a really strong point. Yeah. And I mean, I know that those things have gotten less and less, like,
Mhm.
the old days of grocery
Home
shopping,
economics.
what's in your checkbooks, home economics. Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because all we have now is just financial lit, and that just teaches you how to deal with money, not how to actually like live.
Well, since you started working, you're Daddy Warbucks over there.
Oh
You
yeah.
better learn how to use it. I mean, Maya, when do you get to let your mask down and be a kid? Getting back to what Jake was saying before about social media being at you constantly. Do you feel that? And when can you sort of brush that off to be a kid?
I find that when I'm hanging out with my friends, I like let loose and I just like act like myself more than like putting up a mask or like a mask and like trying to be or like seem more like nonchalant as the okay, I'm gonna stop now.
You're
But
not you're not trying to be cool when
I
you're
yeah,
with buddies. Yeah.
I try to be like more like myself rather than like what the people at school would want me to act like.
Well, that's important. So you think that the people, other people at school who are sort of outside of your friend group, you think that they have expectations of you to act one way versus the way that you want to be?
I wouldn't say that people expect me to act differently because I typically act like a more tamed down version of myself while at school. But
Yeah.
when I'm with my friends, I'll like talk a little louder, like be a little more like
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
acting.
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
You can let loose. And that goes back to what
Yeah.
Jake was saying at the very outset. It's like, not as many people are watching your every move as you think they are at 15, at 13, at 17. It's so that may be a good thing to take out of this, right? And just be yourself and be with your friends, because I know you and you're a cool kid. So, and your friends know you and they think you're a cool kid. If you can win over to all the friends you have, there's certainly many more out there that would want to be friends with you too. Jake, what are you working on mental health wise, a mental health goal or anything that you haven't reached yet that you think that as at 18, 17, 13, now at 23, what are you still struggling with as a young adult and as a career guy? I mean, you're a second lieutenant in the Air Force now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit different for me just because I'm in a kind of a different position than a lot of my peers that are also 23. For me personally, definitely something that I'm trying to work on and get better at. I can articulate the mission really well. I can articulate what we're doing behind the scenes to get the mission done really well and work things, but kind of articulating, to myself and my friends around me, like when we take the uniform off, when we take those stripes off, how things are going and like articulating how I'm doing and feeling wise. And that's just
Yeah.
always kind of, you know, I don't know, from like the man's perspective, it's like it's hard for me to, really come out there and like say, hey, today sucked. Like I'd like let's just go grab a beer, like let's just hang out, you know.
Right. So do you think it's because the introspection part of it, the peeling back your own onion, so to speak, is the tough part of it? Or is it just not so much getting deep into what you're all of what makes you tick, but is it about how your friends will not explain it to your friends because of embarrassment or whatever the case may be?
I don't know, a mix of both, you know, like especially in like the world now, it's you don't want to be judged for, screwing something up at work or if you are feeling a certain type of way. But on the other hand, too, like I've got a good friends around me that like, yo, man, what's going on? It's okay to be hurting, kind of. I read a quote the other day that like I actually weirdly thought about once, and I also started reading, which is also a weird thing. I'm really bored. I was the book. Can I swear on here? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That book.
Yeah.
In that book, there's a quote by Mark Manson, and it's something about the desire for a positive experience is a negative experience, and accepting a negative experience leads you to more positive experiences. And knowing that today was tough, mentally, emotionally, physically, that's okay. And accepting that it leads you to a better tomorrow than just beating yourself up and digging yourself in that hole over it. And I think that rings true to even like being a 23-year-old in the Air Force in my position
Well,
too.
I think it rings true for every single person on the planet, no matter if you're
Yeah.
83, 23, 13, whatever.
All right.
It's like expectations. I think expectations can be an enemy. Is he the guy that sings all the Queen songs so perfectly?
No, that's Mark Martell.
Mark Martell, right? Dude, this guy's an actor, right? You're talking about?
Mark Manson. I have no idea who Mark Manson is. He said the quote.
No. All right, Mark Manson, whoever you are, that was a good quote.
Yeah.
Hey, Maya, what do you think your generation, you and your friends, how can you guys from where you're at to change how we talk about the chronicity, like chronic stress in the schools and the colleges and the pressure you feel?
I would say that like the chronic stress that you feel is or wait, could you repeat the question? You were glitching.
Oh, is that what you guys are going to say every time you forget what you're going to say?
No, you actually were. You were like your thing was like repeating, and then I got lost.
I was just wondering what you think you can do in terms of taking a leadership role, and you and your friends. I mean, you're coming into your young adulthood too, and what can you do to help everybody talk about the stresses that you feel or the pressures that you're under?
I feel like we, like as a generation, should put less pressure on like feeling okay, and we should like start highlighting the fact that it's like okay to not be okay, as corny as that sounds.
It doesn't sound corny at all. In fact, I wrote that up there to ask Jake, and I skipped over it. How do we make it okay to not be okay? That's a great way to say it, Maya. I think that's really pretty insightful. Fiona, you falling asleep? You laying down?
No.
If you're standing, not like I said, you're right on the edge of adulthood. You're going to college, and you're going to have a whole bunch of that experience. And what's the biggest piece of like head trash that you keep telling yourself? Because I know you get yourself really freaked out really easily, right? What are you trying to get out of your head that the system has tried to hand you? Like, and what do you want to leave behind as you go forward into college and into young adulthood that you otherwise may not be able to?
I guess like the feeling I'm gonna fail everything, even though I'm not. I know I'm not.
Like when you're playing your video games and screaming and yelling and afraid to
No,
go
like if I fail like one quiz and I think it's the end of the world, like that's not.
No, I know what you're saying. You're right. And that goes back to something we've already talked about here too. It's just the day, the sun will rise tomorrow, and and you're at the point now, you're graduating, you're moving on. It's only a month left. Jeez, I can't even believe that. 6 weeks left, right? And you guys are all done with school.
I think so. My official last day is like the 22nd. So
22nd of May?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Good for you. That's because you're a senior.
Yeah.
Right. Maya, how much longer do you have to go to school?
Well, I think
37 days.
Oh, why do you know like exactly? I think we end on June
Probably
22nd or something.
Really? Yeah. Hey, Faith, with all these doctors and lawyers and politicians out there who think that they know how to fix everything, you're living it every day, right? You're living because you've had medical issues and things like this. What is one piece of advice that you give to the people in charge, these doctors, lawyers, politicians? What would you tell them about being able to keep the human touch at the center of everything that they do and the importance of it?
When it comes to fixing, sometimes all the people need to let you know, like, tell them how to fix you, because even though doctor can help fix you with your body, what's going on with you, not everyone knows what's going on with you. Not everyone knows how to fix you the right way. Sometimes only you know how to help yourself and fix yourself without people telling you how or no, and that they still listen to you.
So, do you think that knowing yourself so well and knowing what makes you tick, not only is it important, obviously, but you can then take that and be strong with that and tell the other people, tell these doctors and lawyers and politicians what it is that you need and what makes you stand up? You think that's important?
I find that is.
Do you think that they should address their policies and procedures that would be more inclusive in that way?
Yes, because sometimes for example, if you need to cooperation and special needs in a certain way, you can do like that. Sometimes some people need to adjust the way they do things to make sure that they're okay with it. And that being a special needs, it'll be okay enough for it also.
Yeah, if you're okay with it, why shouldn't they be okay with it, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that sometimes, as I said, I think that people are just trying to fix when things aren't broken. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you. And sometimes you could fix what they cannot see.
Yeah, excellent point. Hey, Maya, if you could smash the social mirror, and I don't necessarily only mean the social media mirror, just for one day, just be completely radically honest with everyone around you. What's the first thing that you'd say to everybody?
What would I say? Maybe I'd say it's like okay to be yourself because like societal standards put so much pressure on fitting in and being like everyone else. So I would say it's okay to like dress a different way or like different music or like just be like have like a different personality than everyone else and have your own like interests and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, Ellie, do you agree with that at 13? Because I think, frankly, Elle, I think you do a pretty good job of sort of marching to your own drummer. Do you agree with what Maya said?
Yeah, I think it's hard to fit in because a lot of people like different music than me and like dress differently than me and stuff.
But again, does that you don't seem that doesn't seem to bother you so much, and you like what you like, and you and your friends go about doing whatever you do. So
Well,
is that,
yeah, but at school it's more different than just hanging out with my friends. Like if we're in public and there's a lot of people, then if something like happens where like someone like like if you're sitting down and then the chair falls on you or something, I get like very embarrassed and stuff. But if it was just like with my friends, then I wouldn't get embarrassed. But when it's with more people and people that I don't really talk to, then it's very like embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that that's human nature. I think that we all get embarrassed when embarrassing things happen.
Yeah.
Uh, some of us, and I, for me, if you pulled the chair out from under me and I fell down on my rear end, at my age, what do I care? I'd laugh. I'd chase you around the restaurant, but then we'd laugh about it. I mean, it goes back to when Fiona was about your age and she pulled that chair down that we were talking about earlier, completely by accident without even knowing. She was horrified. It ruined her whole day. And just by proxy, it basically ruined all of our days. But look at her face. But no, I'm half kidding. But obviously, and the embarrassment factor is triggered by different things for different people too. So what may be embarrassing to Fiona may not be embarrassing to Faith, and Faith maybe not to Ellie. So I think it's just is it just a matter of being confident with who you are, like Maya was saying, and being confident in your own skin, Elle?
I think so, yeah.
But it's still hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, like if you have good friends and stuff and you know a lot of people and you feel comfortable and you feel like good and stuff about yourself, then I feel like it wouldn't be as embarrassing.
Well, I think that if you can laugh at yourself, you really need to be able to laugh at yourself before you can really laugh at anybody else, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and and I don't mean laugh at in terms of making fun. I think having some humility is really important. Jake, if you could take us back to that simpler time we were talking about before the real onslaught of social media, because you grew up straddling both sides of it, but
Yep.
imagine no more phones, none of more of the personal connection. Do you think that mental health would be easier or just different for young people?
I don't know if you could necessarily label it as easier because there's no way to know, right? And we can talk about that all you want, but I think it would just be different. For what it's worth, I do think, especially now, more so in the last, like 6 years than ever, the social media has helped the stigma around mental health and helped bring awareness to the fact that, hey, it's okay, versus when I was younger and even like when Ellie was around, like when Ellie was born, it was still kind of that whole you have mental health problems, you're weird, like that's not normal. And I think social media has actually helped bring and advocate for that. I mean, like we're here doing this, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you wouldn't necessarily have that also aspect of the strive to compare yourself and to be better, right? Like,
Well,
it's super
I
easy to go ahead.
don't know if that's true. Honestly, and I love what you said, and it goes back to what Fiona was saying too about how important the socialization and the integration of all the kids in the school is so important. But I'm thinking as I was asking you that question, and I'm listening to what Ellie just said and what Maya said before that, and then what Faith was talking about too, and having that self-confidence. Dude, I can distinctly remember emotions that I felt in seventh grade. I can distinctly remember, being crushed by the girl in high school or college or even law school. So I don't know that I think that there's a lot of stuff that you guys are exposed to that we never were.
Right.
And some of it's really bad, but some of it's really good. And to your point, this idea of exposure to different people in different circumstances is probably a really good thing that you're seeing that not everybody is as fortunate. And it's our job on this planet to help each other out.
Yeah, right. Well, especially like let's say like, you're young in seventh grade, you're crushing on that girl and like, it doesn't go well. You could use social media to like, I don't know, almost find the other people like, bro, I was in seventh grade too. Like it happens, man.
Yeah.
Like keep your chin up. For instance, like I work, it's really weird. Half of my 2 out of the 3 of my maintenance shops also share a building with part of the mental health team on the base that I work at. It's an odd
Sure.
setup, but
Yeah,
sometimes there's 3 doors to the building, and sometimes some of the patients walking through come in the entrance for like directly, pretty much straight to my office, and they might not know where they're going, so I'll ask them like, "Hey, you know where you're going? You need help finding X, Y, and Z," because I know all my airmen that are coming through, so I recognize who's not them. And sometimes, they get odd, and I think like taking that stigma away,
so they feel
using,
embarrassed that they're in the
yeah,
wrong
yeah,
place.
yeah, 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 or
Yeah,
not even embarrassed, but it's like, oh, now you know my face, you
yeah.
know,
Well, that's an age-old problem,
right?
where and that's probably not an ideal setup for client
No,
care
it's
to approach.
it's not. I understand why they do it, to be like nitty gritty and like embedded with the unit, but it's also,
Yeah.
the weird part of it. But like at the same time, I think like I said previously, the last 6 years, social media has helped that stigma. Like I personally view it as like it's no different than going to the doctor for a broken toe. Like if you need help, you need help, and it is what it like. That's okay.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it too. Now I have a question for Faith, because Faith, people see that you have physical challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't always see the energy and the effort that you put in to work really hard to overcome and become the awesome person that you are right now, right? And they don't see every day what you do to overcome and be the person you are. What do you wish that like your teachers from the past or in the future or your peers understood about all the invisible work that you do behind the scenes every day just to show up and be you?
Well, a lot of people at first, because they don't know me, are going to look at that. I look at things a lot differently, not because of mental illness or anything, and because I see things in a different way. Like the saying, change the things you see and the things you see will change. I always look through things in a different glass, and not a lot of people understand when I see things.
Right.
And sometimes I with that is people good and they will know how I see things, how some people will see things, because a lot of special needs see things where I do differently. We each see things in our own perspective, a little differently than normal, but all the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, naturally, I think your point is well taken. You see things from a very different lens than perhaps a lot of other people, and you could probably relate to a lot of other young people with specialized needs and whatnot, and see, as you said, the perspective changes. So I think do you, I mean, I hope that you work really hard to explain to the other teachers, the other kids, the other professionals what that other perspective may be. Do you really think that's a real big part of what makes you you?
Yes, because when I understand different things, my mind a lot more than a lot of people can handle, because for example, I will have different thoughts all at once from how I understand things, and sometimes it's hard to explain because sometimes certain idiots won't listen, but sometimes the right people will and will understand you, like
Yeah,
my mom does.
yeah, yeah. Your mom understands you very well. So do you think that, so you have all these thoughts racing in your head, you try to get them all out at the same time and it just blows people away because you got too much going on in that head?
Oh, sometimes.
Sometimes. All right. Ellie, what is one thing that you get to do for yourself this week? One thing that you get to do for your own joy, something that you are going to do that's going to make that you has nothing to do with school, homework, your reputation, what the other kids are thinking. What do you get to do that's exclusively for Ellie?
I like to do my like I don't really know how to answer that question because when I do stuff like for myself, I don't really include other people when I do it. So, like, for example, what I do is sometimes I watch a movie for myself and just like sit down for a little bit, or I like play a game like with my mom and my brother, or sometimes I like to try new things, like, because I like doing hair and like makeup and stuff. So I like to try new things with that too, which is fun, like for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you've loved that. You've loved that since you were little, since your cousin got you all into the makeup and the hair stuff. I mean, since you were little.
Yeah.
You'd walk around with makeup on when you were 3. All right, I got a question for you, Maya.
Okay.
When you think about the most vulnerable kids in your neighborhood or your school or whatever you want to call it, the ones that really don't have a voice and really need somebody to help them, what's one real radical change that we need to make to ensure that those kids aren't forgotten too?
I say, that one's like tricky. I feel like we should make sure that like everyone is like included in activities, like whether it's neighborhood activities or school activities, but I think everyone should be like included and have like a fun time or like have like the chance or ability to participate in anything that they want to, whether it like be a sport or like a field
All
day
right.
or something like that.
So what about the kids that choose not to go to the prom or things along those lines, go to that dance? I mean, you said yourself, if they want to, they should be allowed to do it. Are you saying that they're not allowed to do it? Or do they feel they don't necessarily feel like they want to, they just feel like they shouldn't or can't, or they're too embarrassed, or they wouldn't be welcome?
I feel some some kids who don't participate feel as though they shouldn't participate, whether it's because they're not popular or they're not athletic or they're not like have enough friends to go to these schools or like the school dances or the sports or the sporting events.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I hope that you guys can encourage those kids to really pick yourself up by the bootstraps to the extent you can and really participate, because it takes everybody to make up a community. It takes all of those folks. So that's a really interesting point. Hey Jake, if you were handed the map of an entire mental health system like what I work in, right? What's the first dead end you would remove to make things easier for families, like, or even the kids that like Maya's talking about? What would be something that you just scratch out right away?
Man, probably the status quo. And some I feel like some families could hit a point in getting whoever it may be that they're related to or even to themselves care that like they kind of feel like they've done all that they can do, or they've almost hit they hit that roadblock. Like, all right, I've been talking to my therapist for 4 months now, and things are getting better, but removing the status quo in terms of like being better than yesterday and continue to doing that, and even like as the caregivers, how can we continue to provide even better care, even though you might be providing the pinnacle, right? Beat down the pinnacle and be better.
Yeah, and just keep doing what you're doing, because you have to. I mean, on some level, we have to know that what we can offer is enough, because that's all we've got. You know.
Yeah.
So, Faith, I got one more question, and it's for you. All right. All right. So, if you have both physical and social or mental health needs, the system can feel like a giant maze, right? What is one part of that maze you wish you could just blow up and rebuild to make it easier for those guys that feel that way, that they have physical and mental health issues? What do you wish that you could remove, and just what obstacle can you get out of their way so that they can get the help that they need?
Honestly, I hope that people advocate for themselves and others because in this world today, not a lot of people are there for one another as much as they used to be, from what I heard, because I wasn't born back then. But a lot of people today are not exactly the best time, to be honest, and they don't exactly advocate or help others in need, and sometimes take advantage of the illness or need or whatever because they could use it to their advantage. But if I could blow up any kind of news, it would be that they
Yeah.
could finally get the help they need by others.
And to make it okay to be, like you were saying, that you're self-advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ellie, do you ever feel like it's not okay to be your self-advocate?
Well, like, what do you mean by that?
Do you ever feel like you can't stick up for yourself or to tell adults or even other kids what it is that you think that you need deep down inside to make Ellie feel better or to make Ellie Ellie?
Yeah, because sometimes, like, I'm not saying this just for my friends, but sometimes, like, if me and someone are like in an argument or something, and I try to say, like, this is making me feel like upset and like why this is, they don't really like understand fully. They just kind of like go about it like it's fine or whatever. But also, I don't really like saying like that I feel like this. I kind of just like let it slide and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to let people know how you're feeling on that level, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you feel about letting adults know how you're feeling?
Well, it depends like what adults it is, because if it's like a teacher that I can trust and like won't tell anyone, then it's fine. Like at school, like I don't think I would tell like a teacher what's going on because I don't really like sharing that with teachers. But like if it was someone else, like if it was someone like an adult that I can actually like trust, then I would probably tell them that they won't tell anyone.
Well, and I'll tell you this much, and we can end here. When you do find that one teacher or two or one a year or whatever it may be, they could be, you can remember them for the rest of your life as being that person who was able to build that bridge for you to cross and to really be a big help. I was thinking about a teacher I had in sixth grade the other day. She popped, Mrs. Lynch. She popped into my head. If you're still out there, Mrs. Lynch, thank you. And she was important to me. So if you have an adult like that in your life, consider yourself lucky. And I hope you guys, have everybody out there listening. You have your parents that hopefully can be that for you, but having the structure, having that outlet is very important, be it in therapy like Maya and I were talking about before, or with those good friends who know you well enough or have been through the journey with you, like some of Jake's friends. It's what makes all of us stronger, and that is a big part of having our mental health together. So I think you guys did a really great job representing, everywhere from 13 to 33, 33, 23, and everywhere in between. Sometimes you guys sound like you're 33. So thank you for being here and doing this for me and with me. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of really good feedback from this. So you should all be really proud of yourselves. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. Today is about awareness, but awareness without action is just noise. These kids remind us that positive mental health isn't a destination. It's a daily practice of cleaning the head trash and finding your centeredness in a loud, loud world. To the parents and caregivers listening, your kids don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. They need to be reminded that the person matters more than the progress report. And to the young people here today, you're doing better than you think you are. Far, far better. You're holding it together in a world we didn't fully prepare you for. And that makes you more confident than you know. Join our new community at the Mental Health Resource Network on Facebook to keep this conversation going. We're building a bridge, and these kids just showed us exactly why it's so important. Until next time, keep holding it together, even if it's just kinda.